Print Hustlers, exciting episode with Gorilla Joe Printing out of Youngstown, Ohio. This episode is touching. It really is. We really dive into how Joe is transforming running his business from a large contract shop to divesting from that. So a lot of less contract work, but also with a better focus on his personal life. Joe just talks about what was going on with his marriage and how he can be able to create a better work-life balance. So excited to really dive into this topic. And, Joe's pretty open and transparent, shares a lot in this. So here we go. But first, we've got a couple sponsors that we want to be able to share because they're an incredible supporter of this show. First up, Supacolor. Supacolor is the world's best heat transfer. It's made for screen printers by screen printers, and they understand the pressures and expectations of running a screen printing business. That's why they pride themselves on being super fast and super easy. Not only that, they've got a super awesome support team. So they're really quick and so helpful to be able to help you get the jobs done that you need to. Mention or actually use the code Printavo15, Printavo15, that gets you 15% off your order. Multicraft Daddy. If you need supplies, ink or Daddy Multicraft screen printing and digital supplies for over 50 years have been providing you with top brands at competitive prices. Mention the Printavo pod, they get 10% off your first order. And if you go to multicraft_daddy on Instagram, they're giving away a bunch of stuff, including PMI tape every single week. Send him your email address. Pop open your Instagram app, send him your email address. And he's sending that out every single week. That is awesome. Thanks, Dave. Easy Way. If you're spending hours cleaning screens, that is a thing of the past with Easy Way screen printing and screen cleaning chemicals. Their innovative formulas are designed to work quickly and effectively so you can spend less time cleaning and more time creating, selling, just enjoying life, whatever you want to be able to do. Plus, Easy Way is passionate about empowering printers of all skill levels. They offer helpful resources and expert advice that help you succeed in screen printing. Last but not least, GraphX Source. If you need a solution to help improve efficiency and reduce costs in your art department, GraphX is there to help you. With over 30 years in the game, they help with outsourcing options and are truly a part of your shop. And Campus Ink is at 5 production artists that helps with store creation, customer service, production art, mock-ups, things like that. They do a bunch more. If you hit them up, graphxsource.com, mention PrintavoPod24. PrintavoPod24, that gets you 50% off your first vector set or digitized order. All right, let's jump into the episode. Curious, as we talked to a lot of different guests that are in different stages of their businesses, and everyone's focused on different things. And sometimes it's like, well, this is what I'm thinking about, but this is what I probably should be spending time or thinking about. Kind of curious on your end, what keeps you up? What do you spend a lot of mental cycles thinking about?
I know we're talking about business here, but lately for me, it's just been a lot of personal shit. But as far as business goes, when I listened to you guys' podcast about hiring a CEO, I took that really, really to heart because I was like, I don't want to be in the everyday operations anymore. So I'm training our production manager, Nate, to be that. So he's going to learn how to do some of the stuff that I do. I'm basically switching roles to just finance stuff, accounting, not me doing the accounting, but just worrying about that kind of stuff, where the money's being spent, how it's coming in, how it's going out. And then when I'm sick of that, I'll hire somebody to do that. But as far as production goes, I mean, if somebody needs me to help pull shirts or something like that, and I'm here, I'll do that. But I really want to stay the fuck out of everyone's way. And I want to kind of have a life again and not just think about this place. This place is my only fun. I'm there.
So wait, Joe, you've been at it for how many years now?
Legally since 2012, a paid hobby since 2009. So 2009-ish.
So, I mean, you're going on 12 years, like 13, 14 years. And if you were to just, and we know you as Gorilla Joe because you're Gorilla Joe Printing, right? Like the company is your name. You are, it's going to be a little, this identity thing I want to talk about a little bit. But like, in terms of scale, where has the business really professionalized? Like in the last couple of years, it's really gotten, I mean, you've had Ryan Kasperian come out and work with you for like 6 to 8 weeks. Like how big is, so people understand how big your facility is now. Can you give everyone a little bit of a footprint before we dive into where you're at in your business career?
Yeah. You know what? I don't really consider our shop big. I've acquired other businesses that were going out of business. Like when I didn't need a third auto when I bought it, but I bought a shop in Columbus for 30 grand and it came with an auto. It came with a bunch of screens. It came with a bunch of contract work for the next 2 years too, that paid for that. Did I need the third auto? No, but like I got it. And then we were printing a lot for a big merch company in Cleveland that I bought their 16 color MHM. I didn't really need that, but I got a really good deal on that and the dryer. And we don't run full capacity with all 4 of our presses because we have 4 presses. But we do sometimes. Like right now, we're running all 4 presses. All of our tag presses are congested, and we have a manual, but we don't really do anything much on that. But we have about 17 employees. We do a lot of merch for bands, a lot of fast turn stuff. It's like hot market for bands. We don't really do much sports. We do a lot of schools, but most of our our language is bands.
Is there a size to the business? Maybe it's revenue size or people size where you started to feel that, I don't want to be involved in operations anymore?
Yeah. You know what? I think I'd say last year, we hired outside sales last year, just one gal. She works remotely from states away. And we went from 70% contract work to like basically doing away with all contract work unless we had a really good relationship and it was really easy process. So now full package. And so I'd say last year is when I started to be like, okay, I kind of want to remove myself because it was just getting, last year was a great year. This year's going to be a really great year too. But yeah, I'd say last year is when I started to realize like, okay, like I need to kind of focus on other things. And like, I kind of just want to let this place run itself.
What goes on for you when you get to that point? Okay. So like, I bet you there's a lot of people listening to this that feel the same. I've been at this for 10 years. The business is, at this point, I want to start to remove myself from it. What triggered that for you?
I'm gonna be brutally honest. I felt my relationship with I felt like my relationship with my wife was failing, and there was proof that it kind of had. We started to become detached from each other. I don't want to say that there was anything that worth ruining the marriage over, but there was some stuff that surfaced, and I realized I was like, "Fuck this. That's more important. I can let this. I can. These people can run this without me." And I like to come in. I like to check on things, but I'm really not checking on the progress of things. I don't even know what we're printing half the time, and it's not because I don't care. It's just I don't see the production scheduler like Nate does or our sales girl. That was the kind of trigger for me. Like I want to get back to having fun on vacation, not worrying about stuff at home. And the relationship with my wife wasn't imminent, so it's repairable. We're working on things right now, and things are the best they've ever been. So I think my relationship with my business didn't make things fail. I think my disconnection with my family made things almost fail. So that was a big thing for me.
I want to talk about, this is really interesting you bring this up, of unintended consequences of going like beast mode on your company. Something that I've been looking at is like, what are the unintended impacts that happen when we become beast mode entrepreneurs and we're, working 100 hours a week and we're like superheroes? Like, I don't feel like it's like you didn't start this business to say like, I'm going to put everything into this and I don't care what happens to my relationships. It just kind of happens, right? Do you feel like that unintended consequence started happening like elsewhere too? Like you said, okay, so like with my wife, like where else did you start to see like this, like, holy shit, I got one life, you know?
I see it in other things too. Like she likes to travel. Anytime that we would discuss a vacation or go on a cruise, like I dreaded it. I didn't want to go because I felt like I was missing out here. I don't know. Like it just, and it's not about going on vacation. Like I really just want to, my daughter's she's going to start first grade last year. Obviously she's in kindergarten. I have to leave now at 3:30 to get her off the bus every day. If this was 5 years ago, I would have had a panic attack because I couldn't leave at that time. Even when she was born, I didn't want to go to the hospital because I was heat pressing jerseys. Like it was just, I don't know. So I hope I answered that question. I kind of speak roundaboutly and I go off on tangents. So just keep me focused.
No, but I think like this is, like my parents, I'll be like, hey, what's going on? You didn't call. And they're like, well, we know you're busy. Right. Or like, we know that Steven's out there doing whatever, just, we know that. And it like almost becomes the norm and people like associate you to that. And that's like, especially when your name's on the company.
Yeah. And that was unintended. To be honest, I was working from my house at the time and I got a job with Penn State Shenango. So it was a local campus for Penn State. And they asked me what our company was called. And I have a tattoo of a gorilla on my leg because my band members used to call me a silverback gorilla. And I hung up the phone because I was like, I don't know what our company's called. I'm just in my basement printing and just, I called her back and I said, that's Gorilla Joe Printing Company. And so I made a fake invoice and it just stuck. It's not some narcissistic plea to put my face on anything. Half the time on our videos, I'm not even in them. And, but my family, I would not go to family outings. I remember completely just being like, I'm just too busy to go, not visiting my dad when he had failed health, not having the time to really do anything fun. Like I didn't really have fun doing anything. Like I was just like so glued to this place, and this place, I've never worked so hard at something in my life, and to have the results come out of it is like a high. It's a dopamine rush. So it's like when I've printed shirts for some of my favorite bands in the entire world. Like there's nothing that feels better than that. I almost feel like I wouldn't even care if we got paid. I'm just like so stoked that we're doing it. But so that's kind of, what the whole purpose behind having this identity or whatever, like blowing other people off to basically run the business.
Bruce, do you felt like this when your middle name was Printavo on Facebook at your?
Yeah, I mean, and I relate to the marriage strain, and then like not being excited about like being away from Slack and from it was like the weekends were the only time that you could decompress a little bit because all the channels weren't moving so fast. But I think I realize now like that was a crazy addiction. Like that was just like that was me trying to do more of what got us to step one, but won't get us to step two in a way, which it sounds like you're going through that transition of step 1 to 2 of like, all right, let the team do its thing. I can let them execute. I don't need to, we always say that word just, where like, it's kind of poisonous of like, I'll just, do this, or let me just complete this for them. Yeah. I mean, I resonate a lot with that.
There is the coach of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I think his name's Bruce Arians. Like his opening speech to his team and his staff is like, if I'll fire you if you miss your kids' activities.
I love that.
And it's just like, damn, like you only got, I know we're going to be on the road. I know we're going to be on TV every Sunday. Do not miss your kids' activities, And it's like, I think we all live in this bubble because we're like, I look at business and I think, Joe, Bruce, you resonate with this. Business is play for us. We're playing. We're just like kids in a sandbox with our little trucks, playing in the sand, printing for our favorite friends, flying to trade shows. We're doing all this stuff. And then people are like looking outside the sandbox is like, have they had enough? Like, But it's play. Go ahead.
So like, I grew up touring in my band. Like I was in a band. I mean, it kind of came back now. There was an insurgence of like heavy metal bands from the 2000s and stuff. And I think we're more wanted to play now than we were when we were actually functioning. So we're doing some shows and stuff like that. We're doing a couple little tours. But I get more out of traveling on these, workcations, for ISS and other things. I get more out of that than I ever did touring because, I think, I don't know. This just like excites the hell out of me. And that's never going to go anywhere. Like, so I'm never going to remove myself from that kind of stuff. But, my wife owns a salon and she goes on work trips too. She doesn't feel the same way I do about, like she doesn't have friends in a bunch of different states that own salons and stuff. It's kind of more of
text all day, that text all day, every day.
Yeah. Right. Yeah. And like, yeah, our group chat is friggin' awesome. Like,
there's there's not a feeling. There's like literally like an emotional drive now to make a change. What's next? Like what do you do now?
Well, I sat down with Nate and I said, look, dude, I was like, I want you to run this company.
And what's Nate's role right now?
He's a production manager.
Okay.
So he does some hiring. He does some firing. He uses the power scheduler religiously daily. Maneuver stuff. I mean, he's a logistics master as far as playing chess with jobs coming in, because obviously we know we might have something scheduled, but the truck doesn't come in with the shirts, or we're missing the 2XLs and it's a 10 color front and 3 color back. I took all that stress off of me, put it on him. He's also, we have a maintenance guy, but he's also fixing our eye image if it fucks up. And we have an eye image and we have a spider. The wax unit I love way better. No offense to the eye image, but we had an issue with something with that for 2 days and he was on it. He kind of does everything. He tells me when, something's broken and we need to order some parts, or, I mean, he does kind of everything. And he talks to most of our customers who are direct with us, who might have like his number and say, hey, can you fit this in instead of this job? Instead of, he took all that off my plate, which we used to stress me the hell out.
So how do you groom him to really like, so we talk about promoting from within or getting like professionals to lead the company, right? Like you heard that podcast from Andrew Wilkinson or whatever of actually hiring like a professional seasoned executive, or like, what does Nate have to learn to be able to really take the place over with confidence that you can like turn your back? Like, what are you, and Nate, if you're listening to this, we love you. But like, where are you going to have to groom him the most?
Honestly, I don't know, because I have literally no control over production. And that's one thing that when I was working with Ryan and we were working with Ryan, I was still involved and he was learning. But now I don't have anything to do with anything. I mean, the most that I do is, as far as production wise, is I might enter in an invoice here and there, through Printavo, and tell my sales girl that, hey, this has to run on Friday. It's for a friend of mine. Can you make sure Nate can get it done? If not, I'll run it on a press real late at night or something like that. Like, that's literally the extent of it. So I don't know what else I could even throw at him. I don't want him to get involved with like finances or anything like that, because I'm not really trying to make one person do everything. It's just, he does all production. He knows what the hell's going on. He knows when an underbase isn't right and it's being re-imaged. I mean, he knows absolutely everything. And I'm amazed sometimes. Like sometimes I come out there and I'm like, hey, you know about this, right? And he's like, dude, it's done already, or something like that. So I don't know what else I could possibly do.
Do you have to hire? Okay, so knowing his voids, like, okay, he's not going to be the finance guy, might not even be the sales leader, but still knows customers. Would you have to hire another executive or someone like senior to really get you? Like, if you were taking a year-long vacation, who would you have to hire and put in place to actually get the business to run?
I think probably a professional CFO and like bookkeeper. I
Do you still control the money right now? Is
yeah,
that you?
yeah, for sure.
Drive the sales side, then the CFO person.
You mean like outside sales?
Yeah, like just to make sure that you're not going backwards, you know?
Yeah, for sure. Because I look at outside like our outside sales girl. She's not bringing us $200-300 order. She's bringing us. I mean, right now we're doing a $189,000 order for one band. One of her first jobs last year was almost $600,000, and then it got added to it, and I was just like, whoa. So her jobs per month might be like 5 or 6, but they're very, very high end, like expensive jobs. So I'm looking at those to make sure, we charge enough for the upcharge on the blank. We're doing a lot of redyes right now, so we're buying shirts and then sending them to a dye house to be dyed, and I want to make sure that that's compensated for, the shipping to bring it back to us.
So I don't want to talk about this, but like, she needs a leader, right? To be able to work with her, talk to her, check in with her, because like if her well runs dry, or if her contacts run out, or if she gets picked up by someone else, right? Like, how do you, if you were to leave for a year, would she self-regulate and self-manage, or would you have to hire someone to like oversee to make sure those 4 or 5 orders were coming in every month?
No, I wouldn't have to. Basically, her and Nate and Kelly in our front office are the absolute driving force. They are so organized and so like if everyone were to quit, as long as those three didn't, like we could still keep going, because Nate would be like, fuck it, I'll run one press and then we have a buddy, Mike Gayton at High Row Print House in Toledo. He'll contract the rest of the shit to that guy. Like, I mean, he'll figure it out. He always figures it out. So, I mean, I wouldn't have to. I don't like look over them to make sure that everything's okay. I just look at the.
It sounds like there's a lot of trust between you and them, right? Like mutual respect, trust. Is it a pay thing? Incentives? Like that's your tribe basically, right? And like, how do you keep them motivated, happy? I know Nate's been with you for a minute, but like, how do you make sure? Because you said something there, like if one of them left, we'd be fucked. Like, what do you do to actually keep them happy? Because it sounds like they're pretty happy.
Yeah, no, I didn't say if one of them left, we'd be fucked. I mean, I'd be very inconvenienced. But what I meant, like, if our whole team, yeah, if our right, and that's fine. No, I meant if our whole team left, as long as none of them did. But no, I guess I did say I'd be fucked. But to keep them motivated, I mean, there's incentives. The more sales, come in, like the commission, obviously gets paid out. Yeah, and like salary's good. With Nate, like there's raises a lot, and he loves what he does. Like, I mean, this is having a print shop with a bunch of misfits. It's like when you can get everybody to really just love this whole industry. I think I don't want to say that that's enough, because people come and go, but you got to be a certain type of person to want to wash screens all day, or to run a reclaim, or be in the hot, sweaty environment, of catching shirts. You're next to a giant fucking pizza oven, like it.
They care about they're in an environment where they can care
but it's
about
like if
the work.
I think what you're saying is
wrong.
like you bring your team to trade shows, right?
Yeah.
Like there's always a tribe around you, and you've always religiously done that. I don't know.
Not always.
Not always. Okay, you've since I've known you, I've always seen like Nate with you or something like that,
Sure,
right?
sure. I got
But
you.
you've created an environment to say, okay, the work might suck day to day. It might be hot, grungy, sweaty, whatever. We're gonna do cool shit. Come along with me on this journey, and I will like take care of you. It's like you got a little Father Abraham on you, you know?
Right on. Yeah, and I'm so fucking stoked for the Printavo, print houses thing, and because it's an hour away. So like anybody that wants to go in my shop is going to go, and we're going to get a bunch of hotel rooms, and we're going to see a different side of each other than anybody's seen. Like partying, hanging out. They're going to see Jack prints and all that other stuff. Like so, like I can't wait. I hope everybody comes. I don't care how much it costs. Like I can't afford everybody to come out to ISS, and some people it doesn't really make sense. But I mean, I want to lead them into like. I also let people know too that when they start out, this isn't their stealing. Like Nate started out like $12 an hour when we first. I mean, this was like 2015, running a press, and like basically his interview was, "Can you set up a job?" And he set up a job, and he's like, "I don't want to go to my other job tonight. Do I have a job here?" I'm like, "Yeah, fuck yeah." And he goes, "All right, I'm going golfing. I'll see you Monday." Like, so ever since the beginning, we just try to create a culture of hardworking, fun, crazy artists, pretty much.
What's interesting is I feel like on one side, you talk about the team is so powerful. They gel well. They're able to manage stuff. They can take care of things. They're proactive. And then on the other side, it's like I'm mentally trying to not be like in their way. And I'm like forcefully trying to get myself out of that. Where I feel like a lot of us are in a similar boat too, where it's like, yeah, we actually do have a team, or at least a good enough team that can self-solve probably 90% of the problems, but we definitely are addicted to, trying to jump in on stuff. Like, are you physically, Steven always talks about like, just don't even physically be there, leave the chat rooms, so you're not even tempted. Are you doing that?
Yeah, I am. I do what I want to do. Like, I don't mind cleaning bathrooms, to be honest with you. Like, I'd rather me clean the bathroom than somebody like else that might be checking in shirts or something like that. Because we don't have anybody that really just does that kind of stuff. I was fixing our eye image yesterday. Like, I like doing that kind of stuff. I don't know. I am in people's way. Like when
Go
I'm
to
out
the
in the
shop
floor.
every day.
Yes and no. I think I'm just not someone who likes to sit at home. I have 3 dogs and they drive me absolutely fucking crazy. So like, I don't have peace at home. I have more peace here doing stuff than I do anywhere else. So, me being absent is maybe taking my kayak on a friggin' lake or something like that. But
does the team expect you to come in every day?
No, not at all.
So there's no expectation. So you've kind of like ripped that Band-Aid off. Like if Joe comes in,
and
great.
They're probably like, Joe, like, why are you here?
Get the hell out of here.
Yeah, sometimes they're like, you don't have to be here, man. Like, just go do something. Like,
it's so funny. Our teams want us to actually go enjoy ourselves more than we do.
Right. And that's the truth.
My business partner started a rumor in the back of the shop that I moved to California. Can I tell you this?
No.
And so whenever I go back, no, he's like, where's Steven? He's like, oh no, he moved to California. And he's just like, I don't know if he started a rumor or not, just to like screw with everyone. And so there was like a month and a half. I was busy and I was traveling. And so I got back and they were asking me like how California is. How's my new?
Did you find a place?
Like, no. But like, yeah, your employees don't want you there all the time. Like they want to see you and they want to greet you. I'll tell you a story. My shipping and receiving guys, I have Barry and Tim, and they've been with me for a minute. Barry's an incredible artist. And, Tim's kind of his right. Like they just run the back place. It's super clean, tidy. And my favorite part of going down to Champaign is just going back there and kicking it with them for 25 minutes. Like, and then they feel good, I feel good, and then I'm on my way. And it's like, hey, is there anything going on? And they're like, no, but like we just shoot the shit and talk about stuff. And I think like that's what employees want. They do not want you breathing over their necks every single day. It's annoying, you know. I'm curious, Joe, do you live in your inbox, like Slack? How do you communicate with everyone?
No, I don't use Slack. They have their own Slack channel. I'm not in it.
Damn, he's one step ahead of you, Steven. He doesn't have Slack at all.
No, no, not at all. We were contract printing for a shop in Pittsburgh for a little bit, and there was a Slack channel, and like I was missing messages because I was like, I don't need one more platform to communicate. We use G Suite, like Google Messenger and stuff like that, but I have 5 people on that. Nate, my artist, shipping, receiving, sales, and front office, and usually it's whatever. And then to be honest with you, and I'm not trying to juice you guys up so much, but like the tasks in Printavo, we use tasks to communicate. So if there needs to be some kind of I don't want to say reaction, but some kind of physical thing that has to be done, we just task each other. So
that's one thing Basecamp talks about. I keep bringing that up, but they talk a lot about removing real-time communication. They're like, how do we take just the extra minute and either write a longer form description of what a problem is and what a potential solution, and then get your thoughts? Or there's no like live chat. It's we put up a task and someone gets to it, before the due date. But it's pretty interesting that you said that. I do want to drag you back though to the original question, which was, okay, now that you know that you need to make a change, like what are like the tactical things that you're doing to make that change? Like what exactly are the your 1, 2, 3 steps to say, all right, I cannot be sucked in here?
Could you say bringing Ryan in was like a step?
Oh, 100%. I was lost.
So start there.
Before that.
Yeah, start
Okay.
there.
So, I started the company. I screwed up royally with a lot of things. You learn from your mistakes. You can't really train somebody how to run something when they've only been an employee. I had no idea how to do that. So when I actually texted Ryan one night. We were in a Clubhouse chat, and him and I would, talk about things. And I knew that he ran companies and stuff. And like, I was looking at my finances, and I was like, I really want to buy a new dryer this year, but I need to train a production manager. So I texted him one night and I was like, hey dude, how much would it take for you to like work in my company for 6 months or a year to basically, hire a production manager or be a production manager and carbon copy you? And
Ryan Kasperian, by the way, we'll leave a link to his Instagram in the description. He does a lot of consulting work.
Yeah. And he thought about it for a little while, and then he kind of basically thought about starting his company, which is covered in ink. And we worked out a thing. He'd come to our shop once a month for a week. I don't know if it was every month or every other month, but it was pretty consistent. And he'd work extremely hard on certain tasks, screen room stuff. I mean, we completely demolished so much stuff in our shop and expanded and all this other stuff and worked out efficiencies, but ultimately trained Nate to be a production manager. And I mean, they still talk very frequently about questions, problems, but it's less and less about, hey, what would you do in this situation? More like, I don't know, just kind of bouncing stuff back with each other. But now I think I'm at a point where I need a consultant again to figure out what really the important things are supposed to happen to keep going forward. Because last year we had our best year last year. We did about 3.8 million, but we were doing mostly contract work. So the profit on that sucks. And I almost completely injured our company financially wise because we were not making money. We weren't getting paid. This year we're going to do probably maybe 4, but it's all full package. So we're making more money this year. So now I could look at, benefits like, all this other stuff, because we don't have health benefits. I paid cash for my daughter to be born, 6 years ago. So I need to know, like, I want to hire somebody to help me to figure out what I need to do next to keep the trajectory.
I think what's interesting is you're willing to go to extreme measures for your people. Saying to Ryan, I know you live in Colorado. I know you're starting to consult. I don't care what it costs. Just come whip us into shape. It's almost like someone saying, like, I'm hiring a trainer and just work out with me every day until I figure it out. And I think shops will make huge investments in equipment. They'll buy hundreds of thousands of dollars of presses, but they won't invest in exactly what you talked about. And it's like you realize that you didn't have the capacity to do it or the wherewithal. You needed Nate to be great. So you're like, I'm just going to bring the best human being in this industry. Not best human being, like, he's kind of, I'm just kidding. Ryan's not listening to this. He sucks. Ryan, you suck.
Yeah.
But you brought him in and it was like, whip us into shape. I don't care. And that's probably paid dividends beyond an unreasonable amount. Like, you probably can't measure the work that he did, which is super, super cool. And so you're almost, now what you're vocalizing is, okay, I'm going to do that again. I need to figure out how to understand how to run a 4, 5, 7, $10 million company now if I want to take this to the next level. That's interesting. Bruce, what do you
goal to divest fully away from contract?
Yes. We have only about 3 or 4 customers that we do contract work for. One takes up a lot of our time, and they take up a lot of our square footage in our warehouse, because we house all their blanks. They get high-end blanks, and then they get their tags sewn in and stuff like that. We don't do that. Basically, our tag presses are for their sleeve prints, because they do a little, like, embossed thing on their, not embossed, but like a print on their sleeve. But what's getting more and more complicated is we're not a partner with them, but they demand a lot of our time and a lot of fast turns. And, I don't really charge enough for the square footage that we're charging for their, or, housing their blanks. So, and then everybody else, I'll basically email them when we're slow and say, hey, you have anything you could throw at us? And then if they throw something at us when we're too busy, we just say, no, we can't do it. So that's a good relationship. But yeah, I would like to get completely out of contract. I mean, it's nice in January and February when shit's slow as hell, and
Joe, I think a lot of shops right now are going through some tough times financially. Like, COVID money's dried out, sales are down, labor's high. From what I'm hearing, you seem to be running a pretty happy, profitable company that's moving up and to the right. How much of your decisions is driven by how much profit you guys are making, how much cash you have saved? Like, you said something there, like, I paid for my daughter's childbirth in cash. Like, you seem to make some smart business decisions. What are those principles that you live by? I mean, it doesn't sound like you make dumb financial decisions.
I don't make dumb financial decisions, but I don't understand a lot of things. Like, the past 2 years were kind of tough because every piece of equipment that we bought, I paid outright for it. And we were doing bad work, meaning like we were doing bad business choices, like for a lot of contract work. And
what do you mean by that?
Like I didn't understand the numbers enough. And when that's pretty much mostly what we were doing, we were staying afloat, but I was playing chess with all my bank accounts. I think one time I pulled from our line of credit for payroll, and we were getting paid late on things. So I was paying extra in interest. It was just a really tough year. Like, I was very unhappy. I also think that was a direct correlation with possibly, me fucking up in our marriage. Not me fucking up, but just like being a miserable turd. Because that was tough. I mean, like, I always had money. I always had money to do anything I wanted with. And then when I bought all this equipment with cash and then took on all this bad contract work, it just, it put me in a bad spot. Yeah, for sure. So, I correlate it like this. Let's say you're a doctor or someone who has a professional degree, but you don't have steady professional degree work. But on the weekends, you get a Dollar General job and you're making $11 an hour. Well, when that Dollar General job needs you there more and you start saying no to the good work and you're only making $11 an hour full time, that's what we were doing. And we were so heavily busy, I hired more people. Right now we have 17 people. Last year we had 22, making way less money as a company. So it was tough.
Where is your business sweet spot, you feel like, that you want to head to? We talked about this with Cole the other day of like, did you know, he unfortunately closed his shop because he was in a situation for too long, but you know, he talked about, yeah, I missed my sweet spot because I was just focused on top line growth, and not focused on profitability, which sounds like you're working on righting the ship. But where do you feel like that business sweet spot is, maybe size wise, people wise?
Yeah, if you could describe it like a picture, paint it like a picture, what's that sweet spot?
That's really tough to say, because when I felt like, I mean, when we had a ton of money in the bank, when we had constant work, I mean, we have constant work now, but it was probably before we even hit $1 million, to be honest with you.
That's what everyone says.
Like, I know, man. Yeah. It's fucking crazy. Like,
I think literally almost every single person has had roughly within a couple, like 100 or 200,000.
Yeah. So I hope, like, we're doing good now, but it could be better. I think, I don't know. I think we could still do the same as what we're doing, just cutting out more contract work. So I think if we stay the same and we do more business to business and we get more bigger bands, you know, bigger tours, I think 5 million will probably be it for us, like the next sweet spot, because the amount of money that we see now, I mean, I'm going to be honest. If we did a one color print was 1,000 shirts, we're making 50 cents a shirt. Now, like, you know, with the upcharge of the garment and, you know, a one color print being a couple bucks, like, I mean, I don't know why the fuck we ever did that. Why did we ever do that? Because we didn't have enough of our own work. And, you know, that's why. But we keep going on that, you know, forward motion. Like, it's going to be, I really feel like it'd probably be like the 5 million mark, probably. Like,
there's the COO or the founder of 1-800-GOT-JUNK is, I forget his name, but super cool individual. He writes this book called Vivid Vision, and it's like, you should actually try to paint your business and your life in a picture of like what you think it would look like. It's going to be a $5 million shop. It's going to have 23 employees. It's going to be 10% profitable. I'm going to go in twice a week. I'm going to have, you know, a leader to manage Nate and the crew. I'm going to have a CFO. Like, this is what our holiday party is going to look like. These are what quarterly meetings are going to look like. And you actually like draw it out and you give it to your team so that they can align with you. Have you ever dreamed with Nate and company and like that, like tell them this is what I actually want?
I mean, kind of, but never that explicit. So that's something I like that advice. Like, I think I'm going to do
that's a good idea. And I think the sharing with the team part, you know, because we all maybe think about it internally, but we don't share it.
But then it's also good to figure out for, you know, those three individuals, what is their vision too? And they're like, this is, you know, Justin Lawrence said this with a lot of wisdom. He said, I had an employee that just said, this is the number I want to make to be super happy. If I can just make this number, I'm here forever. And he's like, let's build a plan to get you and build this for you. And it's like, you know, if you know what your employees' goals are and you know what your company's goals are and you can align the two together, you can build a beautiful thing that lasts forever. Right. And so I think it's really interesting because you've got amazing people, you've got a great business. It's it's starting to find this like sweet spot, but you're not the type of guy that's like, I want to have 20 autos. I don't think.
No.
Do you think you would buy more equipment and stuff? Or you think you're like, you're done?
Nope. Because I mean, eventually maybe have to, but here's the thing. We have 4 autos and 3 are running all the time. Like every shift, like, well, one shift. You could do so much with 4 autos or I mean, if we had 2 shifts, that's that's where we would go next. Like I wouldn't buy any more equipment just to get more done in one day. I would be like, okay, well, you know, we're going to have a second shift, and that second shift would probably be only 3 people. You know, one person running the press, one person offloading, and one person catching the shirts. They wouldn't have to deal with customers. They wouldn't have to deal with emails. It would be very easy, and they could bust out a 1,000-piece job in one night. So that's where I would go next. And I wouldn't just take on all this work and fill up 4 autos for a night shift. And I mean, because that's a learning experience too. So we'd start off easy and slow, maybe leave just the, like I said, simple jobs for that. But no, I don't really think I'd buy any more equipment. I have auto reclaim. I have a developer. I have 2, imagers for, screens and stuff. I think the only thing I'd get after that would probably be a laser, but I want to make sure the technology is there and stuff like that. But, we have an auto coder. I mean, I've automated almost everything we possibly can so that, we don't need that many people. And I don't know what else I would need.
And Joe, from what I hear, you don't take on a lot of debt.
No, I don't.
With a baby? No. I mean,
no.
Can you shed a little wisdom on not carrying a ton of debt? Because like there's something there. The fact that you've grown this business to have every piece of equipment you want and you haven't really taken loans.
I've taken loans, but I've paid them all off. I own my building outright. I have a leasing company. It's called 31 Woodbine Yo, and that's our address. But that's a separate company. The Gorilla Joe Printing Company pays rent to, and they also own all of our equipment. So the Gorilla Joe Printing Company actually leases our equipment. Yeah, so we keep that separate. It keeps it separate because if somebody got hurt or something like that, you can't really go after Gorilla Joe Printing Company because they don't own the equipment. But they pay rent to that too, and that all goes to me. So that was another. Instead of giving myself a raise, that's kind of how I, what I'm saying. But yeah, no debt. Our building was cheap. If I think more people knew how cheap it was to operate in Ohio, I'd be in trouble for local companies because I bought my 17,000 square foot building for $100,000. Like it has a 10,000 square foot basement that I rent to bands and people to store their cars and whatever in, but bands rehearse down there. And I mean, we've had to do a lot of upgrades and stuff, but I mean, it was quick to pay off.
$100,000 is a good starting point to add a lot of upgrades.
So I think what's also cool is when you don't carry a lot of debt and you own your own building and you really are getting anything, like your equipment is being leased back to you. The only real expense you have every month is labor.
Yes.
Right. And so if your business and utilities and all that stuff, but like your labor is the hardest to control, right? Because you really have to like cut people. You know what your utilities are going to be. Those are essentially sort of fixed, right? And so like I think the key to running a healthy business is all the little things that you just brushed over there of like buy your building, lease back equipment, don't have a lot of debt, like hack your real estate to get a second form of income. But like whether you do 3 million, 4 million, or 5 million, it's okay.
Yeah. That's, I did the math when COVID hit and we had to close down, we had a bunch of St. Patrick's Day jobs ready to print and a bunch of fucking green shirts that weren't going to get printed because they were all for bars and stuff. I did the math. We could have stayed closed with the cash that we had. We could have stayed closed for 44 months before we would have tapped into my zero account, meaning like my zero is $50,000 or whatever. So I was not scared. I was more afraid for my employees, but because they were out of work, but I mean, pretty quickly everybody got unemployment and it was more than what everybody was making.
44 months of runway.
Yeah.
It's pretty sick.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
I wasn't that scared. I didn't want it to happen, but Dylan owns his building too. And he always talks about not having any debt. And it's kind of like, it's very, I don't want to say rewarding, but it's secure. I I don't know what I would do if, when you start a restaurant, you don't have customers. You have to buy all this stuff, and you have to sell a lot of pancakes, pizza, and sausages and stuff like that to keep the doors open. But with the screen printing shop, you could start off with $600. That's what I did. And if you don't get any customers, it doesn't really matter. But you have to make that initial investment for a restaurant that if you're not making that money every month, you're losing and you're going to just eventually drown. So it's nice to have everything paid for and not have to be a slave to taking on shit jobs just to have some money coming in.
What advice would you give shops right now that are in that they're trying to cross $1 million, they've got equipment loans, sales are drying out a little bit, like they don't know if they're going to be in business next year?
I'm not like an above and be all type person. Like I don't really know much. I just know from experience.
You know a lot to be. What would a small Gorilla Joe tell them? little Gorilla Joe.
Honestly, hire somebody that knows more shit than you, because a new press isn't going to get you out of debt. Just because you can take on more work doesn't mean you're going to get it. I think hiring, like if sales are drying out, hire somebody, like Kevin Bumgart to help you with, sales, or hire somebody that can help you, train a production manager or, whatever. That's what I would say.
Sounds like the outside sales role too was
that outside sales role.
I'm kind of curious, a little bit different topic, but do you see in the kind of music world, you talked about a 10-color print, do you see transfers changing anything for you guys, or no, because your volume's so high, or what?
We would never, like, bands don't want transfers. We do transfers for a lot of things. Like, we just took on this really fucking big contract, not contract job, but like there are these neoprene, like scuba suit covers for water tanks for minerals in your basement. And nobody would touch it. I did 12 of them myself just to see. And like, I had to press them 4 times for the transfer to stick, and I got to find a different transfer for it. But like, we're charging out the ass for it. But yeah, that's haunting me. I didn't think they'd bite on the price, and like they did. And it's like, we have to produce like 100 of these a month. Anyway,
isn't that funny? If you like throw out a crazy price, like they won't take this, we won't have to do it. They're like,
exactly
sure,
because nobody else would do it, and they want their name on these things. But no, I don't see that happening in the band world. When we decorate hats, we use transfers or embroidery. We used to print them, and some people want them printed, but I'm not going to set up that little hat press clamp thing and print them myself. We're not doing that. So that's the only kind of disruption I see, if that's what you're talking about. But I don't, even like digital squeegee, like I don't really see much happening with that.
Yeah. I feel like the murmur on digital squeegee was like this, and then now it's just like, meh.
Yeah. What's interesting is we did a lot of shirts for one of my favorite bands, and it was a contract job. So this sucks, but it was 10 colors. The artwork we got wasn't that great. I had to outsource the seps because our seps just weren't looking correct. And finally, when I think we got it, and we did it on a Saturday, we tested it on a Saturday to run it on Monday. We printed it, thought it looked great. The band rejected it. They wanted to stay within less than 10 colors or less. So we kind of limited ourselves, got it to as good as it could look in 10 colors or less. And they ended up digital squeegeeing it. So it was like we were fighting a no-win battle with this thing. So that was really frustrating. And they rejected it, so we didn't get paid. And that was a contract job. So like, yeah, that sucked. But I think that's one of the only things I can think of that, but as far as transfers, I don't really see transfers being super relevant with bands other than certain things.
All right. Yeah. Good to know.
Youngstown, Ohio, Gorilla Joe.
If you go to Print Hustlers, you'll be able to visit. So.
Oh yeah, for sure.
Yeah. Joe, this is great. Go ahead, Bruce. Sorry.
Yeah, thank you so much for being able to share your story, and just being honest and transparent about, your transition and personal and business life all together. I think, you know, there's a lot of like good things that are always put out, but it's really nice to have the reality of what's actually going on. So,
Oh yeah, for
we
sure.
appreciate you, Joe, for
Hey, I
doing
appreciate
that.
you guys.
And thank you, man. Thank you. And listeners, thank you guys. Subscribers, thank you so much. We appreciate you guys for joining us. Sorry, we're just going to have to end this. Hey, we'll see you next week. Have a good one. Thanks so much for listening. Hopefully that was informative. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. Don't forget to hit the bell for notifications if you enjoyed this video. If you enjoy all the stuff we're putting out, it's really helpful. We love to just be able to see it. That means that we're doing a good job. To subscribe, hit the bell for notifications, and hit the like button. And I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.